back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Leah. I do mommy lifestyle videos. Today I wanted to do our Baby Led Weaning Experience. My daughter is 21 months right now, and we started with purees and then slowly moved into more solids, and it went really well, and she's amazing at eating right now. So I just wanted to share our experience of how that went. I did just want to start this video off with a disclaimer saying I am not a professional. This is just our personal experience with baby led weaning. I utilized the Solid Starts app. Very highly recommend that one. And the Baby Led Weaning Meals, I think it's just BLW Meals. And then also Little Eaters on Instagram were also super helpful. I didn't buy anything. I personally did not feel like I needed that. So I did not buy any sort of course or any sort of thing to follow. I just basically had fun with it, tried not to be too stressed, and went for more truly baby-led weaning. Instead of me doing it myself, I waited for her to show interest in solids. So like I said, we started with purees, and she was cleared at 4 months at her doctor's appointment. Didn't feel comfortable with that yet. She sat up really well, but I wanted to wait until she could sit up better in a high chair, just because she was still kind of slumped, and I just didn't want to do it too fast, you know? We were in a hurry to get her on solid food or anything, so I waited till about a little after 5 months, I think. I had turkey and rice puree just in the house that my friend who had a daughter 4 months older than mine, she was just handing me stuff that, you know, they used, and she was super helpful for a lot of things. So that I just already had prepared, and Anya loved it. Like, loved it. She basically immediately wanted to feed herself. I was taking too long, so I gave her the spoon, and she was all about it. These were the spoons that I used. They're just Munchkin brand, super easy. And quickly, I got a little set from Walmart. I would preload the spoon, give it to her, and she immediately would put it in her mouth. One thing that we did to help was we used teething straws. I got a little package on Amazon, and they still are wonderful now. Like, we still use them for teething and stuff. But they really help with tongue thrust, just getting something used to being in the back of your throat so she didn't thrust her tongue forward whenever we tried to feed her. And so those were super helpful. I will also have everything I talk about will be linked in my Amazon storefront down below. And she only gagged, surprisingly, a few times. She gagged the very first time she had puree, and then she gagged on eggs one time, and then there was one other food that kind of made her gag, and then has been completely fine with purees and solid food ever since. I liked to make my own purees just because I felt better about it. They were single ingredients, super easy to make. You just steam something, which I just had a steamer already. I didn't buy anything baby like specific. It was just like a little it was just like a little pan with water, and then you put the steamer pan on top. That was all it was, and it was super easy to cook anything and then mash it up either by hand or by putting it in the blender. And 6 months in, I was doing thicker purees because she took to purees really quickly, and I would do 2 ingredients. So I would do like apples and banana or little combinations like that. To make my own purees, I used these We Sprout little containers to put the puree in, just to be able to like take it to daycare and whatnot, and you can write on the top of these. And then I would make a big batch and put them in a silicone mold. This was so unbelievably helpful. And then having a lid to it. It came in a pack of 3. I will also have all of this linked down below. This would basically make 1 little ounces, and then you freeze this, and then you can pop them out, put them in a bag, a freezer bag, and then I would take that out and put it in here and let it sit overnight to be able to have it for the next day. And it worked so well. I am definitely keeping all of this if we ever have another baby, because this was super helpful. I think this was a pack of 3, and then this came in a pack of 12, and I never ever used that many. You could also put this in the freezer, but I never did. And then at 7 months, she started showing more interest in wanting to feed herself a little bit more, like get her hands dirty, and she kind of seemed like she was not quite satisfied with purees anymore. She was really paying attention to what I was eating and wanting solid food. And then at 8 months, we really started to switch from purees to actual solid food. All super soft foods, though. I was not doing like a whole thing of meat for her to just gnaw on. But I just didn't feel comfortable giving her big things to like gnaw on. Plus she was 8 months and she was getting really good at pincher grasp. So I was really leaning more into the small pieces of things, soft everything, like bananas. I would let her have like, you split it down the center and have like bigger pieces that she could hold onto. I was doing avocado. Sweet potato was a big one. She loved sweet potato. I would steam apples. She really liked steamed apples. And zucchini was the very first one we ever started with, and that girl loved her zucchini. She's not super great into it right now. I think she's still weird with textures here and there. She's kind of iffy about green beans, but pureed, she loved green beans. So I think it's just a texture thing. But while she was getting used to everything, she loved zucchini. Just roasted it and it was amazing. I really did not worry about how much she was eating while I was introducing new meals. It would always be one food only. I would just give her one after we would get home. We would have like dinner and then we would have a bottle after that. At first I would do bottle and then the food, and then around 8-ish months I switched that to start introducing food first, milk second. And yeah, it was just about the exposure. It was about getting introduced to different things. I did have a little chart of my first foods kind of that I followed, but I definitely did not stick to. I tried not to stress myself out about making sure I gave her everything. Like there were like sardines on there and just a lot of things that we don't eat that I did not introduce right away. I figured we can organically introduce those, but all of the allergens I did do around 8 to 9 months, maybe at the latest. I think I did 10 months to introduce the final ones. I would kind of like stick to one for a month, wait a couple days in between, introduce it again, and then I would wait a while before I introduced a new one. And I always made sure to introduce each food 3 times. That was one thing that I was very good about, was making sure that she had it, especially the allergens, 3 times. And we thankfully, knock on wood, we have not had any sort of reaction from any foods so far. But she hasn't had all of them yet, you know. There might be something one day that she gets irritated by. That's kind of how my process was, and it was really easy. It really wasn't too stressful because I was trying not to make it the biggest deal in the world. I was just trying to make sure I remembered that she needed food and that she got fed, and because she also loved food. It wasn't like I was forcing her to eat anything. She just was genuinely so excited to try things that I was constantly thinking about, what do I want to introduce next? What do I want her to try now? And she also hated eggs right at first from the texture, and then all of a sudden just loved scrambled eggs. And we've done omelets now, and I always forget to give her some hard-boiled eggs, but she can absolutely have those, and I guarantee she'll love them. And then at 10 months is right around when her appetite just took off. She's always kind of had a bigger appetite than most kids, I've noticed. I don't know if she gets that from us or if that's just a her thing, but she really wasn't satisfied with just one ingredient or one big thing of food, so I started introducing sides. And so I would give her some meat, and I would cut up the meat very small, make sure it was shredded and soft. Like it was either, bless you, it was either ground beef or like chicken. I would shred and make sure it's really tiny. Bacon I waited till she had more teeth, especially the side ones, and then I would give her little pieces, and now she's really good with bacon. I don't give her big pieces. I'm still kind of afraid of choking, so she's really good. She doesn't have all of her teeth yet. She doesn't have her canines, and she doesn't have her back ones. So I still probably give her way too small of pieces. She could probably eat a lot better. But I just have always erred on the side of caution, and I would always look up solid starts before I introduced anything new. I would look up how to cut it, how to serve it at her age and whatnot, and then I would watch like the little babies in the videos of how they were interacting with the food, just to make sure I was doing something that wouldn't be, you know, wrong for her age or potentially a choking hazard. And sides were stuff that I would make myself, and slowly as she's gotten older I've introduced more sugars and more, you know, just normal, because like once she's our age she's not going to eat perfect all the time, but I really tried to make everything myself and just really focus on giving her clean, the lowest sugar possible stuff. And now we're slowly introducing things, and she gets breakfast at daycare and they don't do that, so I'm loosening the purse strings and the control at 20 months, now at 21 months, and just kind of letting her experience life. But that whole first year I tried to really make sure that she was eating very healthy and very clean. And I think that's another reason that she did really well with trying new foods, is because she didn't have a lot of processed sugary things. So I've found with myself, the longer I go without those, the better the alternatives taste. And now at 21 months, she is a fantastic eater. Like, she really is. A lot of my friends have noticed and commented on how good at, first of all, at eating she is. Second of all, how not picky she is. She does have preferences. She is still a toddler and they all have preferences. She does not like green beans. Every time she's tried them, she always will at least try something. Every time she's tried them, she's just stuff, like, didn't like it. We just had spaghetti the other night and the sauce in it had little pieces of tomato, and she for some reason thought she didn't like those, so she kept picking them out. And then later she tried one and loved it, but I did notice that though, that she was pulling out the tomatoes. She does love tomatoes though, so I don't know what that was, but she really does do really well. Pretty much everything when we go out to eat, I can order her something, cut it up, no problem, and she's fine. There are just every once in a while, she didn't like chicken tenders because they were like really crispy, so she didn't like how hard they were. That was an interesting one. I had to like figure out how to like get her something else. We've ordered her hamburgers, and she did for the longest time have a problem with, if I cut it to a certain size, she would shove the whole thing in her mouth. So I was like cutting things extra small just to make sure that she wouldn't do that. So I've kind of pulled back on that a little bit and started giving her bigger pieces and really worked with her, like sitting down, eating the same exact thing at the same moment as her and showing and modeling her how I'm eating to make sure that she's not shoving it all in her mouth. Like muffins, I've noticed she will hold at her mouth and just bite and bite and bite and bite and bite and bite until it's in her mouth. And so that was like really hard. And anytime she does still have moments of doing that, I try not to freak her out while I'm silently freaking out. I just tell her that's too big of a bite, and then I wait and I see how she does, and then if she's fine, I'm not gonna go in there and scoop it out because she obviously handled it, and we're not gonna let her put that much in again, but I'm not going to put my finger in there and make it worse and go down her throat. Like that would be making the situation worse. And she's never, thankfully, had a big moment where she's been choking or anything. She's just had a couple moments where something's touching the back of your throat, you know how you like and it scares you a little bit. She's had a lot of those. So the more we model how to take bites and how to slow down, I think she's getting a lot better, and it's starting to click how you're supposed to eat. And she's so good with sauces now too, because right at first I would give her sauce and she would just stick her fingers in there and eat it, and it's like obviously you have to get messy to learn how to be clean, instead of just always making sure that nothing is like dirty and always feeding her yourself. You know, my husband's kind of on that side. He doesn't like to see the mess, so I pretty much take over whenever it gets too messy, but she needs to learn how to do it herself so that she can. And now she is really good with a fork and a spoon. She does have her moments, but for the most part she's really good at actually scooping and eating. We went over to our friend's house last weekend and they had like a chicken pasta bake that she made in the crock pot, and she had to make separate meals for her kids because they're very picky, which I'm very blessed to have a very good eater. And she asked if Anya would need anything, and I told her no. Like, Anya will eat the pasta. And then so we got her a little fork, and she just sat there in her little booster seat and just ate the whole thing by herself. I think I had to help her like twice, and my friends were just like and so I try not to like flaunt that, just because it also could switch at any point, and then all of what I'm saying now has no bearing because I just had an easy child up until a certain point. But I feel like what I've done has been helpful, and what like I modeled for her and how I introduced everything, I think has really helped her expand on what she would like to eat. She also could just be a total unicorn angel child, and honestly she is with everything. So I'm taking everything with a grain of salt, and like if it gets worse from here, I'm okay with it because we got it pretty good so far, and I will take all of the hardships because I know other people have it way worse. And then her appetite has kind of like gone up and down here and there, but she really, for the most part, still has a pretty big appetite. And I don't know if she got this from her dad, but because her dad's Greek and he grew up with there's food, you eat it. She's kind of like that as well. I don't know if it's just because she is still hungry or if she thinks she has to finish her plate, because I've never enforced that. I've never told her like, no, we eat all of our food or anything. There have been times when she's either teething really bad or she's sick that her appetite is super small, and then there for like a couple weeks, maybe a month, her appetite was a lot smaller, but for the most part, she's still like, I make her multiple sides for lunches and dinners, and she pretty much eats it all. I'm actually surprised at how much she eats, because I see other people offering their kids stuff and it's like scraps. It's insane to me. So then I'm like, am I feeding my child too much? But she's a healthy weight, she's really small, so I don't know if she just has a good metabolism. I did as a kid, so maybe she got that from me. But that is going to be the end of this video. If you are still here, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you would like to see more. I make a lot of random mom content, so I hope you stick around. I'm also over on TikTok. I've been trying to post every day. I don't know how people post like 3 to 4 to 5 times a day. That makes no sense. I don't have that many ideas, but I try to post. I am currently working on a mud kitchen, so that is over on TikTok if you would like to see that. And then anything I talked about, I mentioned, will be linked down below. But that is the end. I'm gonna go. I hope everybody has a great day, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.